General Jack Keane, thank you so much for your time. How concerned should we be that the Solomons have stopped the US and Britain from sending ships there for docking?
Yeah, I think we should be very concerned. I mean, what my government here believes is that a secret security arrangement took place in March of this year between the government of the Solomon Islands and the People's Republic of China. And that likely is a manifestation of what is playing out here as we see a British Royal Navy ship was denied entry, as was a U.S. Coast Guard cutter as well. And after that security arrangements, I do know that Kurt Campbell, who is the National Security Council advisor to President Biden, and also the Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia, both traveled to the Solomon Islands in April. That was 1 month after the so-called security arrangement was made. And I think they were clearly trying to lay out to the government of the Solomon Islands the dangerous path that they were on in aligning themselves certainly with China. If this manifests itself in the direction it is likely heading, we could see possibly a Chinese military base in the Solomon Islands. And certainly that is not in the interest of Australia, other countries in the region, and certainly the United States of America.
Yes, they may have clearly warned the Solomon Islands about the road it was taking, and they've been just as clearly ignored. US President Joe Biden is meanwhile trying to rush more than $1 billion US of weapons to Taiwan. He needs Congress still to approve it. Does this suggest that America is now frightened, scared, concerned that China may well invade Taiwan like Russia has invaded Ukraine?
Well, it's certainly on the mind of this administration, and it's certainly on my mind. I mean, I take President Xi at face value. I mean, he has said time and time again that Taiwan is a part of China, much as Putin said Ukraine is a part of Russia. And we had a tendency to dismiss Putin, and look what he's done. President Xi has said that he intends to resolve the Taiwan issue during his tenure, and that if it's necessary, he would use force to make certain that Taiwan is indeed a part of China. I think we take that threat seriously. He's followed it up with significant intimidation and coercion. And I don't even believe that the amount of money that we're providing to Taiwan in terms of military assistance is anywhere near what it should be. I mean, I'm being told by people in my government that there's a $14 billion backlog caused by the State Department in approving the weapon systems that Taiwan wants because the State Department of the United States doesn't agree with what weapon systems Taiwan desires. We had this problem at the beginning of the Ukraine conflict, and finally we recognized that sort of the Ukrainians know more than what the United States does in terms of what they need. And I certainly to be repeating that problem again with Taiwan is pretty outrageous. We need to provide significant more arms to prevent the conflict from having, and also give the Taiwans some assistance in training and let them train with our allies and partners in the region, all designed to prevent the conflict from taking place.
Honestly, you'd think that message from Ukraine has got through, wouldn't you? That if only the weapons being rushed to Ukraine now had been there at the start of the war, how much different everything would be. I think you just got to put the pedal to the metal on this one and go flat out to make sure Taiwan is armed to the teeth. But speaking of Ukraine, General Keane, the big counteroffensive there. Now, we've talked before about how Ukraine had prepared for this by bombing Russian arms depots to make sure that their stocks were depleted. They'd bomb bridges to cut off the Russian occupiers, particularly around Kherson in the south. Now, in that south and southeastern front, the Ukrainian army is advancing to drive out Russian forces there. And it's some of the heaviest fighting we have seen in Ukraine for many weeks, if not months. How is this advance actually going? Because you said last time we spoke, this was a very difficult thing to do, advancing against entrenched positions.
Yes, well, this counteroffensive has finally begun. It's been weeks in the planning and even further weeks in the preparation. The preparations involve what we call military shaping operations, where they have damaged all the bridges that serviced Kherson City, which is the major city in the Kherson Oblast, which is similar to a province in our language. And that has taken place. And now the ground maneuver part of the operation is underway. And they've taken some small towns and villages north of Kherson City. And they've also, as you noted, have damaged of some supply depots in Crimea, quite a distance away, but they are major depots that are providing the services necessary for the Russian troops that are in Kherson City and the surrounding area. This is a major counteroffensive by the Ukrainians, recognizing that the Russian offensive operation in the Donbass regions has completely stalled. They took the eastern portion, but they have not been able to do much else after that due to the significant casualties that they've had. So this is a huge opportunity for the Ukrainians. They have the momentum here, in my judgment. The Institute of Study of War, which I'm associated with, believes that they could be successful here. One of the things the Ukrainians are telling us, the Institute for the Study of War analysts, is they are going to need very much the continued and sustainment of arms and ammunitions from the United States and the international community, or this will not succeed. They need a consistent flow of that ammunition as this offensive operation unveils. And it will take weeks likely to prosecute, probably up until possibly the winter time, when the transition weather kicks in and the area is full of mud because of the heavy rains that take place. So this is a major turning point in the war, in my judgment, on the heels of the Russians not being able to gain their own operational momentum, and they're rushing troops to this area to help defend against the Ukrainian counteroffensive.
Well, we can only hope. General Jack King, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, great talking, Andrew, as always.